Welcome to this video around Nintex Workflow Cloud and building out a workflow that's going to go up a management approval chain. So in this scenario, what we're doing is actually talking to Salesforce, but you can talk to Dynamics CRM or potentially some other system. So I'm going to click on the start event to show you how this workflow actually gets kicked off. So you see here, we're connecting to Salesforce. We're capturing an event, which is the new record. So a new record gets created. We've picked which connection we want to use. So this is to a Salesforce org that we created a connection to earlier. And then the type of object we're dealing with is a contract. Now right here, we're only getting back the created by ID. So this is the ID of the user that created that record. So in this scenario, it's the actual internal ID inside Salesforce of the user that created that contract. Now, what we've done is we've got our first action here, which is a retrieve a record action. So we're saying, find me the user in Salesforce that has that ID, right, which is the ID that caused that record to get created. And we're getting back three values. We're getting their email address, we're getting their first name, and we're also getting their manager ID, right? So they're managers and they're getting an ID based off of that. We have a set variable action that just says who the current approver is. And in this case, the current approver is whoever created that record or that contract that kicked off this workflow. We then go into this branch by stage action. So this is going to jump between these branches. So you see here we have created 4 branches: get next approver, request approval, and then if everybody has approved it, it's going to go into this branch. If somebody rejected it, it's going to go into the rejected branch. But the initial state is the get next approver. So as this workflow gets in here, we're going to go all the way to the left down this branch, which is the get next approver. So we're checking, do we have a manager, right? So that's simply a branch by condition action. And it's saying, does the variable text manager ID, or is the text manager ID not empty? If it's not empty, we have a manager, which means we now have to go and get information about that manager. So here it looks like I'm just doing a double check of the current approver and we're getting the manager ID. So this is probably a little redundant, so we may not actually need to do that at all. But what we're doing in the next one is actually getting information about that manager. So in this case, we're saying, give me the user with this manager ID, get the email address of that user, their first name, last name, and also their manager. So we can keep kind of track of that. Now, what we do is just logging some information to the workflow history, and then we're jumping to the request approval branch. So in here, we're actually assigning a task to that manager, saying, hi, first name, you have a task to approve, thank you. So keeping it very simple in this case, although normally we'd send in a whole bunch of information about the actual contract that we're dealing with. Now, if it's approved, we're going to go to the next get next approver. So we're actually going to go back here and we're going to go through it again, because now we have a new manager ID, and we're now going to go and retrieve that record and basically go through the same process. Now, should we get to the point where a manager gets assigned this task and rejects it, we're going to jump straight to the rejected branch. And you can go all the way over here to the rejected branch, and we just have a send an email action. And we just say someone rejected the contract. So what we would do here is actually add a couple of other actions here, which I forgot to add. So let's add those. And we'll just say exit out of the state machine or the stage machine and exit out of that one as well, just to kind of finish it off. Now, should we get through all the management, right, all the managers, go up the entire chain, all the way up to the person who doesn't have a manager? We now have no manager. We come down here. Do we have a manager? No, we don't. Now we say, we assume everybody approved it. So you go to the everyone approved branch, same sort of thing. We send an email back to the initiator and let them know that everyone has approved the contract. Now, should it be that a CEO, for example, submits a contract, it will still come down here. It will still get their information. It will get their manager, which of course the CEO probably doesn't have a manager. It will go down this branch. There's no manager. It'll just assume everybody approved it because it was the CEO that submitted it. So you can see how we can kind of build this sort of logic to jump around back and forth and go all the way up that management chain. So hopefully that gives you an idea about building out an approval chain workflow in Nintex Workflow Cloud. If you have any questions, either post them at the bottom of the YouTube video or on this blog post. Thanks for your time, and let us know what you think.